Welcome back to the Tribal Lines podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Lupo, and here with episode four's guest host, Brady. Brady, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm so glad to be here and to talk all things Survivor. I think this past episode is definitely one for the book, so I can't wait to dive into it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is one of the best episodes, I'd say, of the new era, or at least tribal councils that has happened ever since the first episode. Each tribal seems to just keep getting better and better. Um, And so I am really, really enjoying watching this season so far. I also like how going into this episode, it was three tribes of five people. So everybody had gone to tribal at least once. Those are the seasons I really like, where everyone has to show their cards at least once. The numbers are about the same going into Mergatory. And it makes more for a much more fun season than if there's one disaster tribe and one tribe that never goes. Um, so I'm glad we have this. But uh, right now, Red is starting to spiral. Two in a row going to Tribal Council. But definitely an unexpected boot. I did not think Kishan was going to be out this early. Um, it is honestly wild. But the chain of events that happened leading up to this tribal council, there was a lot. So I'm excited to dive into it. So we'll start off going tribe by tribe for the beginning, and then we'll get into the immunity challenge, the journey, some strategy before tribal, and the tribal itself. So let's talk about the Red Tribe. So we get back from Tribal Council after Asia was just voted out, and there was one vote for Seoul, and it was Teeny. So Teeny actually tells him that she was the vote for him. And what did you think about that move? Did you think it was smart for her to say who she voted for? Um, do you think she should have left it a mystery and not said anything? What do you think?
I feel like when you're on a six-person tribe and there's not that much wiggle room in terms of people, I think that the truth will always come out eventually. People are gonna start claiming names as to who they voted for, so I think it's gonna fall back on one person anyways. And if Teeny was to lie about it and they chose to lie about their vote, it would be burning two people instead of just one. So I think that in doing so, it was probably a smarter move on Teeny's part. I just think that the truth would have came out eventually, regardless. It always comes out, especially during the game of Survivor. So I think strategically speaking, it was in Teeny's best interest to probably try and um, go over that and kind of just try and do some damage control.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. I think it was smart to say something. It is a small tribe. You can't really hide from that. If it was maybe a merge vote, kind of similar to what happened last season with Charlie. Charlie shouldn't have said that he was the one who voted for Venus and should have let it up for interpretation. But in this situation, I mean, there's only four voters. You might as well just be honest. Although she definitely could have probably gotten away with blaming it on Rome, um, because I think Saul would have definitely thought that Rome voted for him. But
Yeah.
yeah, I understand being honest. I also see throughout this entire episode, Teeny trying to show that she did really want to work with Saul. Um, so. I totally understand where she's coming from saying this to him. However, I did think it was a strategic move because maybe he would play the shot in the dark, or maybe Asia would play the shot in the dark, and then like whoever was going home, uh, let's say Asia lands the shot in the dark, then now it could possibly have been Genevieve. So in that sense, um, the fact that she said it was not strategy and it was purely because she had a great connection with Asia and did not want to vote for her is kind of crazy that their alliance didn't even think of that. Because if Asia was safe, then Genevieve would be going home and they could possibly be screwed. Um, Especially Rome knowing that Genevieve was a close ally. So
Mhm.
I thought it seemed purely strategic, and I'm shocked to be finding out that it was not strategic at all, and it was only because she didn't want to vote for Saul. So that was definitely interesting. But, it all worked out. Asia ended up going home. And now Rome thinks that he has this majority for, and is considering stealing Sol's vote so that he can't play his shot in the dark. And then all they got to make sure is that he doesn't find an idol. As long as he doesn't find an idol, guarantee that he can go home without any worry about the shot in the dark. But I thought in the beginning of this episode that that was silly. I think that they should have risked the 1 in 6 shot that's he would be safe with the shot in the dark and saved the steal a vote for possibly a merge Tory or merge vote where the steal a vote would be very crucial to their game. So I thought it was silly even this episode um to end up choosing to I guess for this episode with what went down, I understand stealing the vote, but if you're trying to steal the vote specifically so that someone can't use the shot in the dark, I think that's a silly play. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, what do you think on the whole idea of Rome wanting to use it to block the steal a vote from being used?
I think it was honestly like it's great for TV, don't get me wrong, but like from a strategic standpoint, it was just like it was horrible because you're literally there was no trust there to begin with, but at that point you're just burying them that other relationship 6 feet under. Like Saul and Rome, I think they're just kind of they're I feel like they're never gonna trust each other. I feel like they could have a voting block for a round or two, but at that point, like if I were him, I'd want to cut Rome at the knees, honestly. Because players like that, like if you let them stay in the game too long, they make it deep. And that's one spot in like the final six, final five that could be taken away from you because you let a player who's gonna quickly jump ship and stab you in the back get further than they should.
Mhm. Um, and Rome, after as a result of this, wanted to make sure that Soul did not get an idol. So the entire time, starting in the morning after Tribal, did not leave his side and would make sure that even if he wasn't looking for an idol, even if he was just going to fill up his water, sitting on the beach, going to grab a coconut, whatever, would not leave his side and even yelled at him when he was like, can you please give me a moment to myself?" It was like, "No, like this is Survivor. I don't have to." Um, so Rome is definitely not playing this very well socially. It's really revealing his true personality and true like gameplay, I guess you could say, and it's not looking good. Um, so I think it's definitely something that obviously we see Kashan and Teeny are definitely considering trying to maybe get him out because he is playing a little bit too hard and not really realizing that he's playing with people who are humans and have feelings, and he shouldn't be treating them like this. And I totally agree. I think Rome could have handled this so much better. He could have like been watching him from afar. He could have at least just to make sure that he wasn't actually looking for an idol and like left him alone on the beach, which is fine. Just make sure that if he leaves the beach, then you go after him, something like that. Maybe take turns with your alliance, having different people watch him so that you're not the one being overbearing. But that's Rome for you. He's the season's villain. He's the honestly the new era villain of the new era for sure. And I am loving watching him on our screens. I'm so glad that he's still in. Um, and he's just definitely going to just cause some chaos. There's always seems to be one person on every single season, whether it's a villain arc or just a chaotic arc. Um, kind of like Q last season. Like this season's Q is Rome, and I'm here for it.
Yeah. It's a good
Uh,
analogy.
yeah, and Teeny making the funny faces at the camera, just like Jim from The Office, like where like while Rome was like yelling at Soul, like looking back at the camera, giving like a
Breaking the fourth wall. Yeah, it was
Yep.
that was such a funny moment. Teeny just keeps throwing in like subtle pop culture references. They threw in another reference. I'm not sure exactly who it was from. I'm trying to remember who it was, but I saw it on Twitter that, or and on Teeny's Instagram story that they were quoting a celebrity on like during the I think it was after Asia's vote, sitting in the shelter. They said something that was reminiscent of a celebrity. So I really like that Teeny's very relatable. I feel like that there's a sense of relatability, and I feel like the fellow tribe mates probably feel that too because no one's really looking at Teeny. I feel like Teeny's trying to be that comfort person for everyone left in the game and is super gun ho on focusing on those social relationships and those individual relationships. And I think that that's doing them really well in this game. And it's
Mhm.
making not really anybody really turn Teeny's way. Even Soul, after Teeny wrote his name down, really didn't really have any issue with that by the seams of it. Like they still, obviously, later on, Soul would vote out Teeny's ally, but if I was Soul, I probably would have went for Teeny. So for Teeny to divert that attention away from them, I think was impressive and a testament to how good of a social game that they have.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, I think now that Teeny was just blindsided, it's going to be a little bit maybe tougher of a road if they have to go back to tribal, but I still don't think that Teeny would be the target. Like Teeny
Mm-hmm.
was just the only one out of the vote who's still left in the game, but I don't necessarily think that means that she's next. So,
I agree.
um,
And
yeah. I think that was all that we got from Red early on. Let's move over to Blue. We got Sue, the 45-year-old, not the 58-year-old.
26, actually.
I was funny that she was telling everyone that she's 45. I mean, hey, she's able to pass for it. Nobody seems to be saying anything to her about it. And I do think that if she makes it to the end and says, like, I told you all I was 45, actually, I'm 58 years old and I'm a badass pilot. And like I was always underestimated in the industry, and now I'm here at the end, and like I made it here. And like I think that if she says that at the end, she has a great chance of winning, I think. So, this could be maybe setting up a possible Sue making it to the end because I mean it already showed in the beginning like she's saying like and also her age is a little bit interesting because I think she said in the beginning like first episode like I'm 59 and I just beat all your asses, but then she just said she's 58, so I don't know what age she actually is, but she's around there. But she's pretty much saying like, if I make it to the end, I could say I'm 59 and I beat all your asses. And now she's saying like that she is 40. She's saying she's 45, but she's actually 58. She's a badass pilot. Everyone's underestimating me, and that seems to be the constant theme. Whenever showing confessionals of her, so it could be setting up maybe a storyline for her to make it very far.
I feel like that too. I feel like the Survivor editors are very meticulous and very thoughtful when it comes to what they put into the episodes. And I definitely think that I could see Sue in there for the long haul for sure. I could honestly see Sue getting like a fourth place, like right before FTC boo. Because I feel like a lot of the fourth placers, like we saw with Liz last season, like Liz admitted like she's not actually a millionaire and she was gonna pull that out and tell people that she. So
Yep.
maybe it's a similar thing. We'll have to just wait and see.
Yeah, for sure. Um, And this is not the end of Sue. We find out she gets the Beware advantage,
Hmm.
and she gets the one that was put back into the game after Gabe used his idol. And then she has to cut a rope to which released a ton of red paint and the idol. And she had to clean up the red paint, clean it off herself, make sure she didn't get caught red-handed. Um, and I wanted to know what your thoughts were on why do you think it was a smart idea for her to go through all that trouble to clean up the red paint, or do you think it would have been better just to clean off her arms and leave the red paint there so that people would be like, oh, someone probably has an idol, but they can't just blame it on Sue?
I don't know because I feel like just based off timing, she was like the only one over there, right? Unless she just like tried to walk away. I don't know because I feel like she probably she was gonna tell probably her allies regardless anyways, I feel like. So I don't
Well,
that's such a
she to our knowledge, she has not told anybody.
yeah,
I feel
yeah,
like
I
she's
feel
probably going to keep it a secret, to be honest.
I think she will.
I do. Yeah.
I feel like if she's smart, that's what she will do. But I do think that at that point, like um her her trimates already kind of have an inkling or an idea about the fact that she might have something. So at that point, like when I tell at least like Caroline, I don't know. Because if they're suspicious already and they think you're hiding something and you're gonna still keep your cards close to your chest, you're probably hindering your relationship with that person more than you're helping it. As for the paints, like honestly, I feel like I wouldn't have done what she did because if I was on that tribe, I would say, "Oh, where did you cut yourself?" Like I'd want to see the wound, you know. They didn't press her about it or anything. So for me, like I would have clocked that in a second. So I'm not sure really what I would have done about it. What would you have done, Stephen? Is the better question.
Yeah, I would have done the complete opposite of what she did. I would have cleaned off my hands and got the hell out of there.
Mm,
Because if I'm not near the paint when someone finds the paint, how are they supposed to know it's me? Because she was not going to fill up her water. She was
yeah,
going out to, I don't know, whatever she was doing, and then she ended up by the water well because the Beware Advantage told her to go over there to get the idol. So.
right.
I don't think people would have assumed that she was there. They would have known that she wasn't back at the shelter at the time, but wouldn't have known. So I think there could have been blame placed on other people. If it was me, I would have been so scared that someone was going to come see it. And also cleaning up all of that paint. You're not going to get all of it. There's always going to be little bits and pieces of red paint. Um, and also it's going to make it more mess for you to have to clean up on your body too. And you know for a fact if you go to just grab the idol, it's not going to be on your face. But you can't see if it's on your face or not, which is what happened with Sue. Tiana and Caroline catch her at the water well with some blood on her chin, and she had some in her hair. She had a little on her hand. She said she cut herself with the machete, and she also says she cut her lip, and then she also said that she didn't actually cut herself. So it was
I was like,
I was like, what are you doing? You keep changing your
I was
story.
confused by. So they're saying she said, "Oh, she found the beware advantage," but I feel like it wasn't really a beware advantage. Like we've seen previous beware advantages that have to do tasks and whatever, or like I feel like that was more of just like a clue to find the idol with just an
Well, that
extra.
the beware part of it, not only was it if you don't get it, you'll lose your vote, but it's the red paint. Like the beware
Yeah,
advantage, like beware because now people are gonna know you have it if you don't cover your tracks very well because they did this as a beware advantage in season 42 with Drea. Uh,
right.
and but Drea's was I feel like a lot this was definitely harder than Drea's because Drea's was um it was like a tube that was attached to the ground and you had to stick your hand down the tube where the tube was filled with red paint. Um
Mm-hmm.
and this time around it was like a bowl that shattered red paint out in
Explosive, yeah.
so
I don't know, like I'm not sure if I like that as a beware advantage because I feel like I'd want something harder where they have to work for it because she got the idol pretty easily. Like
she
I
got
don't
the
know.
idol easily, but it was hard for her to cover it up. I
Yeah, I
think.
guess it's just a different angle of the beware advantage because usually it's a task that they have to complete or like even like initially when they had to do like the phrases. But I guess this is more of a thought-provoking beware advantage than anything and kind of how you think on your feet.
It's a kind of one where I hope they put this back in, but maybe make a beware advantage where your idol is hidden at one of the other tribes' camps and you have to sneak in late at night.
That'd
To,
be messy.
that would
Steven,
be
they
messy.
put you on as a producer because that's a good idea. I like
They
that.
should, they should. Jeff Probst, hire me. I'm ready. I'm ready to help you out with some ideas.
Right.
Or just cast me. That would be more
Either
ideal.
way.
Yeah, either or. Um, so yeah, and then let's move on to the Yellow Tribe.
The
So
yellow tribe.
the Yellow Tribe has the All Girls Alliance, the Breadwinners. And according to Annika, they have a relationship. That was so fun.
That was
Uh,
funny.
but yeah, they have the relationship, and seems like they're gonna stick together. They got a tight alliance. They got an alliance name now, but what they don't know is Sierra is dead in the middle of two duos, Sam and Andy, and then we have Rachel and Annika. And Sierra is playing this middle very well, and doing so is sharing with Andy that the alliance is called the Breadwinners, and now Andy knows that she's with him because she wouldn't have shared this information with him if she wasn't actually with him, because why give away your actual alliance's name? Uh,
Right.
so this definitely was looking good for Andy. And I don't think it honestly was the worst thing for him to tell Sam. I think it actually made Sam want to keep him even more. But
Yeah.
I think it did lose a little bit of trust from Sierra that she was desperately needing to gain. Um, because uh, Sierra tells Andy not to say anything, but because he knows that Sam and Sierra are close and he knows Sam is his number one, he thinks that oh he can at least share this with Sam, uh, and then tell Sam about the breadwinners. And Sam is pissed because Sierra never told him about this alliance or its name. So now Sam is doing everything possible to make sure Andy stays in this game because he says that Andy is essential to his game. And the fact that he has this idol and Sierra would never turn on Sam, I think that uh and Annika doesn't have a vote. So if Sierra is not going to vote for Sam, Andy's not going to vote for Sam, Sam can't vote for Sam, there's no way that if Sam plays an idol on someone else, that there would be enough votes to get Sam out. So Sam can easily give the idol to Andy or play it on Andy. Andy's safe. So if they go back to tribal, it's just making it seem more and more and more likely that Andy is staying in this game. Um, but
I
we'll see
love.
from the scenes from the next episode that I don't think we are going to be in three tribes anymore.
I don't know. I'm like very like conflicted if that's gonna be like a swap or not.
It's
Because it's
gonna I don't know exactly because I mean yeah, why not, we can talk about it now, who cares. Um the he Jeff says that it's a twist that they've never done before.
I
Um
don't think
he's done this before where it's like similar but it's slightly different, and oh, we've never
yeah.
done this before. But I don't know. I feel like ideally it would be 2 to 3 rounds of two tribes of seven. That would be ideal. Um, I also was thinking, oh, this is a twist we've never done before, and I was thinking what could be some cool twists that could happen with a tribe swap or with 14 players, two tribes. Um, and something that I think would be really cool for Survivor to do is to give them a time limit to make their own tribes. So like by the time 10 minutes is up, like we need 7 people on one mat, 7 people on the other. Uh and if not, then you're automatically going to be on the tribe going to tribal or something like that. And I think that could be interesting because then now you have to choose, do you put your allies in a good spot on the other tribe and not be with them, or do you go with your allies? If you're someone on the in the middle, which side do you choose to go on a tribe with, and which side do you choose to leave on their own?
Mhm.
So I think that would expose a lot and make it very strategic on who you want to be aligned with. It could make the people who went on the journey try to pair up with each other so they can possibly work together. Um, so I think that could be a cool twist. I wonder if I'm right. I doubt I'm right because that's a crazy
That
twist.
would be interesting. because
Yeah.
that's about prioritizing your allies game or your game. And it's kind of similar to what we saw like on the journey with um Teeny kind of having that conflict of interest of, oh, like, do I want to help these people or do I want to, like, not bite the bullet because I'm going to tribal council? So I think it's interesting. We'll definitely touch on that a little bit later. I think that that would be an interesting twist to see come into fruition. I'm not sure if that's what it will be, but I definitely think that that could be a possibility for sure. But kind of bouncing back to the Yellow Tribe a little bit, I think Sierra is in an interesting position. Personally, if I was her and if I was in her position, I would probably cut Annika. She doesn't have a vote. She's not really contributing much. And in that way, worst comes to absolute worst. If you have to go to tribal again and it's the four of Sam, Andy, Rachel, and herself, I think that strategically Rachel will just be the next to go. So I think she'd at least by then make Mergatory.
Hmm.
I think that would probably be her smartest move. I think it could burn Rachel in the process, but at the same time, I think burning her is better than burning somebody with an idol. So that's kind of like what I would do if I were her, but I think that she is in a tricky spot. People pleasing in Survivor is definitely a difficult thing to juggle because you're trying to cater to as many people as you can. And a lot of times, sometimes information gets lost in translation, or you don't want to share other people's business or other people's information that might be a detriment to not only their game, but to your game as well. So I think she's in a tricky spot. She's between a rock and a hard place for sure. So I'm curious to see how she's going to navigate it next episode.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That's an interesting thing because for Sam's game, Andy is extremely important because Andy will always be loyal to Sam, will tell him everything. Um, and that is someone who's very valuable to have at Merge, especially when
Mhm.
they've already paired Sierra and Sam together. They have not paired Sam and Andy together. Um,
Right.
so keeping Andy in this game is definitely important for Sam. But if you take out uh, Andy, now you have a strong four going into Mergatory.
Hmm.
If you take out Annika, now is Rachel gonna flip or is Rachel gonna stick to Gata? Um, that definitely makes things interesting. That also is why this tribal council um, for Lavo for Red was also is also interesting because now you have four people left on the tribe where Rome and Saul hate each other. You have Teeny who feels blindsided, and then there's Genevieve. Um, fucking Genevieve. Genevieve, she was inexistent in the season for 3 episodes, and
Purpled
then
out.
she's the star of the episode out of nowhere.
So
Um,
random.
yeah, definitely crazy. What do you think about that? The fact that Genevieve is now the star of this episode, or like the one to really make this move happen after not being in episodes 1 through 3. Does she now seem like someone who has a chance to win, or was this just this was her move, so they had to edit her well, and now she's probably going to get limited edit because she'll probably be out early.
I think it's going to be one or the other. I think coming into the season, she was like one of my two draft picks, so I'm like pulling for her, but I think that she's going to have a kind of like a tricky time navigating herself. I think that this could either be like the rise to like a crazy edit, or it's just kind of gonna be either next round or the round after she goes home. I think that I don't really see her being like the merge vote or like getting like 10th or 11th. I feel like she's either like next round or like in it for the long haul. But I don't know. Like her edit was just so out of nowhere because she really was purpled like the first three episodes. She was non-existent. But even I remember like with Survivor 41, like Erica was like non-existent for the first couple episodes as well. So maybe she's kind of getting a similar edit there, but I don't
I
know.
think they just learned from it. They learned
They
from
did.
41. I don't think there's going to be another winner that is edited that poorly. Maybe not as well as maybe D was edited, but definitely I could see someone being like kind of under the radar edited, but not as much as Erica. Not even close.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I don't know though. Like I feel like the producers are gonna want to keep everyone on their toes. And I feel like the last couple seasons they definitely Kenzie was my preseason um pick. And then I was kind of shifting off to her. And then once like the end of the end game kind of hit, I was like, oh, she's taking this. And then when I watched it back, I was like, oh, this was so obvious from the jump, just based off her editing. Same thing with D. She had such an obvious edit the entire season. So I'm not sure. Like I feel like because I feel like with a winner, they want to kind of have them beginning, middle, end. And I feel like she's kind of got to start a little bit late, but who knows? Maybe this is just a unique way of, crowning a new winner.
yeah, in my personal opinion, I think she's the Mergatory boot. Um, I think Rome and Genevieve are going to be the targets. I think Tini and Sol are going to find allies from on the other tribes, and they are going to convince them that Rome just is someone you don't want to deal with and is just so obnoxious, and that Rome and Genevieve are a tight pair. I think Rome will be safe at the Mergatory. Genevieve won't, and that's why Genevieve will be an early boot. I think they only edited her this way because it was her move, and this was a big move so far in the season. But still only showing strategy um, and only showing that, oh, I heard my name as the decoy vote, let's switch it to Kashan. Like that's all really that we got from her. So it wasn't even that crazy much. Um, and we still don't know anything about her personally. All we know is that she did not want Kashan throwing around her name and telling her what the vote was going to be when she knew that Rome was someone who would always have her back.
Yeah, and that upsets me because she low-key gives me Parvati energy. I don't know why, but there's something about her that kind of is reminiscent of Parvati. Yeah, I could see honestly like them kind of doing a short little 3 episode setup demise. I could definitely actually see that happening now that I'm thinking about it more. Because I think her being booted with no context wouldn't really make any sense. So for her to kind of get a little bit of context, I think does help. Um, I don't know. I'd be surprised if she won, but I think that that would be such an interesting edit and see how her edit would play out between now and the end would also be super, super interesting. But I don't know. Her likelihood is probably not as high as who's your winner pick right now, actually?
So my winner pick is Sierra.
That's my winner pick too.
Really?
Yes, it is.
Okay, okay, there we go. Yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
that would be
I
fun.
barely did any preseason research. Literally all I did was watch the 1 minute videos that were posted online about each of the players. Like it was an 18-minute video that I watched on my way to the episode 1 watch party on the train. And based on
Oh,
that,
how was that, by the way?
oh, it was so much fun. Thank you so much for giving me your VIP ticket. Uh, that was a lot of fun getting to be VIP, meeting a bunch of the survivors, some amazing race people, Big Brother. Um, so yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah,
Um,
sounds like shaking.
you should have showed up.
Right? Clearly.
But yeah, I didn't do too much research and I just picked the guy and girls who I felt like the best with in terms of like winner chances. And my two girls were Sierra and Caroline. My two guys were Gabe and Andy. And ultimately out of those four, I chose my winner pick to be Sierra. Everyone who I was telling that Sierra was my winner pick was saying that, what do you mean she's going to be an early boot? Like, there's no way she wins. But I don't know. I just, based on what she was saying, she just seemed like someone who was going to be likable, very charismatic. People were going to be drawn to her and wanting to work with her. And she had that strategic side as well. So I just figured she would be someone who would be liked, would not be targeted early, and then later in the game would have the relationships to be able to make those end game moves that would get the respect of the jury and be able to peak later in the game. So that's why I went with Sierra. She has not shown any reason for me to sway away from her, so I have not changed my winner pick. And
You
until she
can't
does
change
something
that's
awful
how
or gets voted out, probably gonna stay Sierra.
that is not how winner picks work. You cannot change your winner pick halfway through the season. Once you're out and once your winner pick's out, you're done for. That's my opinion. I feel like if you walk in with somebody, you have to walk in with them, stand behind them no matter what.
Oh yeah, it's more so like, yeah, I want Sierra to win, and from the beginning, Sierra is my winner pick. However, if she does something where it's so obvious she's not gonna win, I'm not gonna predict her to be the winner, but I'll still ride with her.
I could see like a final four of like Sue, Gabe, Sierra, and like
I don't anymore see Gabe as someone who can make it to Endgame.
I see him as a scapegoat
You do.
because I feel like they're doing the same thing with like the Charlie Maria as they are kind of with the Sue Gabe. So I think maybe that could play out again, possibly. I don't think he'd win. I think he'd be a third place type of vibe, maybe, possibly, or like a final between final five to end game. I think Teeny's gonna go far too.
I do think so too, yeah. Um, I think yeah, I feel like now that Kashawn is gone, I think that the Teeny Kashawn duo is kind of like the Kelly Brando duo, uh,
Hmm.
where we got more confessionals from one of them, and they seemed like such a tight pair who was extremely knowledgeable in the game and in such a great position. And it looked like, based on the first few episodes, that they were going to be the duo of the season. And then the
Right.
person who got less confessionals, less strategic confessionals in the first few episodes gets blindsided early. Um,
Hmm.
and that's exactly what happened. But now I do expect Teeny to go far. I did predict, though, if she doesn't make it towards that end game, it will be because it'll be a similar boot to Kelly from that season. So I wonder if it's literally will happen the same way because I can see people realizing a few votes into the merge, wow, Teeny's good with everyone. Teeny's super strategic, super social. Like, even though we all love Teeny, we need to get her out. And I
Hmm.
could see a blind side happening there. I could also
Definitely.
see because now she has the amulets, which we're going to talk about very soon.
Yeah.
But now that she has that, uh, could be a target,
Oh,
and
yeah.
could result in uh, maybe her being one of the first th of the three to get eliminated. Because I don't think it's going to be used until one person's left.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I'd be very surprised if it was used before that, honestly.
hmm Yeah, I think that always in the first, right when they get it, they're all thinking, "Oh, this is 100%. We're gonna all use this together. This is gonna bond us." But
Oh yeah.
every single
Every
time, it results in them going after each other.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's like a notorious trend I feel like we've seen with multi-person idols. It's never as kumbaya as initially they all think it's going to be. That's why, like, if I ever got one of those, I'd be like, fuck this. Like, this isn't like there's a chance, there's the likelihood I'm not even gonna have to be able to play it because I feel like when there's multiple people that have to factor into it, like and I don't know, like personally, like if I'm not close to that person, they have another part of the amulet, like I'd want to vote them out. That would give me more of a reason to want to target them. So like I'm not sure if it's really as much of an advantage as maybe they think it is, as of right now at least.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Also, one last thing on yellow before we get to the immunity challenge. Um, Andy dropped his shot in the dark out of his bag. Clumsy, so clumsy. That could have been bad if they didn't realize that. And he can't now give the shot in the dark to Sierra to build more trust like he said he was going to, if they had to go to tribal. Or if he was definitely on the bottom and needed to use the shot in the dark, he'd reach into his bag and be like, shoot, where's my shot in the dark?
Yeah,
So that was lucky that they found it and Sam told him about it because that could have been bad because that was a good bargaining chip for loyalty for Andy.
I don't, I honestly like, I just do not understand. Like, some of these people who are like such fans of the show are like literally, slipping up the most. obvious, like the most, how do I phrase this? They're doing the things that like when you look at the TV, you're like, oh, I
Mhm.
would never do that. And then they're doing it. So I'm like, have you, they're all fans of the show too. Like they've seen the
Yeah,
show before. Like the one thing you don't do
especially
is
Andy.
lose your stuff. Like
Hmm. Yeah,
crazy.
100%. So he got lucky there.
Yeah, he
So
does.
we get to the immunity challenge and we finally get a reward that I love.
You love this one?
The chickens.
Wendy.
Yeah, Wendy, that's great. Who else was it? Ty, uh,
Ty,
giving us Mark the chicken.
oh,
Um,
this market chicken.
and if nobody knew this already, there were two chickens. There was Mark and there was Jeff, named after the producer and the host of the show. And they ate Jeff, but Mark survived.
Mark did survive. We love Mark.
So yeah, love Mark. So we get that reward, which is great. I love that we brought back that reward for one of the pre-merge ones. Yellow gets first place, then blue and red dead last. Didn't even get a single piece into the puzzle, and I think they were first to the puzzle too. So
Oh yeah.
that was crazy that they couldn't even get one in. it's it was like being embarrassed. Rome being embarrassed was is like an understatement. Like that
Oh yeah.
was so
Hate
bad.
it.
I understand like maybe not getting that many pieces, but I was watching him. It was so obvious based on the pattern that it does not belong there. And he kept just moving it around, trying different things when it was so obvious that it was not going to fit. And that's what Saul kept saying was like, Rome, that doesn't go there. Rome, that doesn't go there. That's not it. That's not the piece. That's not the piece. And he still just kept trying it. So I don't know why he was trying to fit it in correctly rather than actually look at the pattern and see what pattern matches up with the first piece that was already in there to start. So
Yeah, it
bad
crossed my
strategy.
mind. Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of like a child. You know, like those toys where it's like there's the shapes, like there's the circle, triangle, and square. He was like trying to put the triangle block into the square hole. Like that's literally what he did me. I was like, and like Jack said, like at tribal council, like he wasn't going behind it to look at it. Like he wasn't like really grabbing other pieces. He was literally just like he wasn't like trying new things to like figure out if what pieces would work. He was just like for
Uh-huh.
a second, like I don't even know, like. I think it was iconic, don't get me wrong, but like they should have known by now, like who they should know their tribe's strengths. I feel like by this point, it's the fourth challenge of the season. Like, and you're putting someone on a puzzle who does that poorly. Like, I don't know.
Why was Kishan not on the puzzle?
These are the questions we'll never know.
I don't know. It was ridiculous. Even though, I guess because he didn't do that great in the last puzzle, but I mean, they were the last ones to the puzzle. I mean, it makes sense why they didn't do great.
Yeah, still better than the disaster of this community challenge.
For sure. Um, so yeah, we get another journey, but it's a different way of getting picked. Instead of the boat coming to their camp, the winning tribe gets to choose everyone who goes on the journey. Yellow chooses Andy. I am really curious how they came up with that
I
decision
know,
as a tribe, putting the person
right?
who apparently everyone should be on the same page to vote out, let them go on the journey. I think kind of silly. Um, but at the same time, maybe they were thinking if it's the same kind of journey, there's a higher percent chance that he loses his vote than gains an advantage. So maybe we send him so that we don't have to worry about the shot in the dark. Um,
Mhm.
and then if he somehow gets an advantage, then we'll just deal with it then. Maybe that's what they were thinking. I don't know. Um,
Yeah, I don't know. I wish we got some like insight on their decision,
Yeah,
but
yeah, right. They should be recording like what they were talking about, or maybe they just didn't think it was like important for the edit, but I don't know. It would have been nice to know.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And then they choose Teeny from red and Caroline from blue. What I'm interested in, I don't know if it's ever going to be said on the show, but Teeny is part of the LRG community, and Andy is friends with a ton of people from the LRG community. Andy and Teeny, before getting on Survivor, went to a ton of the Bryson Wendell watch parties. Um, so there's a chance that they might know each other from that. So I wonder if Andy chose Teeny because of that, and we just didn't see any, and they just couldn't talk about it because Caroline was there too. But if they get to the merge together, maybe they have a private conversation like talking about how, oh, like I remember you from the watch parties, like let's work together, kind of like Teeny and Asia, just Teeny knowing about Asia's podcast.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't think about that. I mean, I think that definitely could be a possibility, but I think that I'm not sure though, because Andy, if Andy had sway for it to be himself, I'd be surprised if he was the one who was trying to advocate who would go for the other tribes, unless they volunteered him to go.
yeah, they could have volunteered him to go. He could have volunteered himself. I don't know. It could have been with the whole Teeny thing. Maybe he none of them really cared that much, so he was just like, "What about Teeny?" And then they were like, "Yeah, sure." Um,
Because they don't know them for a hole in the wall yet. So,
or maybe they thought Teeny would be someone to give up information because all they know about these other players on the other tribes is how they answer the questions that Jeff asks before challenges. So and after challenges when he asks questions. So maybe from that they could just tell like, oh, Teeny's probably someone who would be good to put on the journey because maybe we could give her an advantage. Maybe we could form some sort of alliance at the journey. So that could be why. And then Caroline, I don't know.
they're random. I think she's like also like not really getting much of an edit yet.
Yeah, she's not getting that much, just a little bit. But I don't see her as being maybe someone who would be out early. I see her as kind of like a Lauren, like from 44, where she got bits and pieces here and there, but she was never the main confessional person. But later in the game, she ended up being perceived as a threat, and we were all confused why, and ended up being
Um,
out at Final Five. So could be that kind of deal where Caroline gets out kind of late, but isn't necessarily in too much of the edit. There's always usually one person like that who just makes it far, but like isn't great at confessionals or something, or isn't heavily
yeah.
for the storyline.
Let's hope so. She's
You-
also a dramatic, so
She was.
she was.
Who else was your draft pick?
So I'm in like two. So I'm in one. My main one is like this Facebook one, and my three picks are Sierra, Genevieve, and
Oh,
with
Genevieve.
Sierra, Genevieve, and Caroline.
Hmm.
So let's manifest that that works out. I think I have a pretty strong three.
Hmm. Yeah. We'll see how the I think so. You have Car okay, so all of them seem to not be getting that many confessionals except for Sierra. So hopefully it's a good thing and not a bad thing.
Hopefully, don't say that. Don't put that out there. But
Um, so let's get on to this journey. So we get obviously they talked for a while about their tribes and stuff, but we did get one piece of information from each person regarding what they said about their tribe. Teeny says it's probably going to be Sol or Rome going home because they have an ego battle going on right now. It's going to be really fun to see everyone's reactions when they come into the immunity challenge, and it's who went home.
oh yeah,
I can't wait for their reactions. I was very upset about the TK reaction that people found out because of the journey instead of actually seeing TK getting voted out like at the immunity challenge. Um, but yeah, so Tini says that. Caroline says that there was a bromance, but since TK was voted out, the vibes have shifted. So I think that kind of relays maybe there's a girls' alliance, but doesn't outright say it. Um,
yeah.
and then we have Andy saying how he's socially on the bottom, and if he makes the merge, he will let them know what the cracks are on his tribe. Um, I think that was so smart of him to say that he will give the cracks, but not actually give the cracks yet. Um,
And it was smart play by him. I was impressed by that.
yeah, he keeps impressing me. Everything he's done this entire game has impressed me except for episode one.
Yeah,
Um,
besides episode one's breakdown, I feel like he's rebounded relatively well and integrated himself like a little bit stronger than I expected him to after that.
yeah, he's like honestly, he's kind of like Emily Flippin, but he's learning more on his own than Emily. Emily was learning from Caleb, but Andy is just realizing like, oh, like let me actually pretend like I know how to play Survivor.
Yeah. Oh, Emily.
Yeah. So Andy says in his confessional that the reason why he's trying to say he's on the bottom is because if he gets to emerge, why would you want to target the person on the bottom? Wouldn't you want to bring them into your alliance and use them as a number? Ideally, yes, that is what people should be thinking at the emerge. That's something I would be thinking as well, if I was on another tribe trying to get more numbers. However, lately in the new era, it has been the opposite. Usually, people are trying their best to stay safe before jury starts.
Hmm.
And in order to do so, if a tribe is willing to give up one of their people on the bottom, then everyone else is just like, sure, let's do it. Easy vote.
Like, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So this could be tough. I think Andy is going to be an exception. I do think that Andy is someone who will be able to find allies on other tribes and not be an early
Mhm.
target. But it really depends on how much power Annika and Rachel have going into Murgatory if they both make it there, because they're obviously going to be gunning hard for Andy, and if that gains traction, Andy's a goner.
Yeah.
Unless they don't go to tribal before that point, and then Sam could maybe give Andy the idol or something. Um,
Hmm.
but if they can't gain traction on Andy, I don't see anyone else really trying to target Andy. I think he's
Yeah, I don't either.
so yeah, as long as the girls don't get traction on Andy's name early in the merge, I think he is going to make a deep run in this game.
Which I would love to see.
I would love that. Yeah. Um and So the journey, one person has to give up their vote before the time is up, and if they don't, they all lose their vote. But if they do, then they all get an advantage. Teeny ends up giving up her vote. I think it's smart for that to happen because Caroline and Andy weren't budging, but I think Caroline should have taken one for the team. Teeny was going to tribal. Andy was on the bottom. Caroline is in a good spot, knowing that Kyle just lost his vote too, and he's the one on the bottom. So I feel like Caroline should have done it. Um, but
I would have pushed back.
you like if you were teeny.
Yeah. And like I guess like maybe she didn't want to like, ruin that relationship yet, I guess. But at the same time, it's like at the end of the day, like you don't owe this person anything yet. I don't know, but I feel like it's hard because you don't want to like hurt those relationships that you haven't really formed yet because that is your first impression basically. So in first impressions, especially in the game of Survivor, matter. So I'm not sure. Like I probably would have pushed back at the end of the day because like I'm going to tribal council. Like I'd be like I already we can either all lose our votes or like one of you guys can. I'm going to tribal council. Like I need my vote. So hopefully one of you guys will step forward because if not, none of us are going to. That's what I would have done.
Yeah, but I guess I didn't really see how much time was left on the hourglass, but if it was getting down to it being almost up, I understand Teeny doing what she had to do because if you didn't give up your vote, then you would have lost it anyway and you wouldn't have gotten an advantage. So at least if you were going to lose your vote, you get an advantage with it. Um, but yeah, I don't understand why Caroline didn't do it. But also, Teeny knew it was going to be either Rome or Saul, so she didn't really know that it was going to be it was definitely going to affect the vote because I think if let's see, if Teeny did have a vote, what could have happened in this tribal? There would have been 5 votes, so they would have needed 3 votes, and the 3 votes would have been two Romes and a Genevieve. So the same thing would have happened.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it didn't really matter. So either way, Kashawn would have been probably gone, especially if Teeny did have a vote and was on board with the Rome plan. Like, Rome was already upset by that because Teeny knew about it, and didn't tell him. So obviously she was okay with the plan, and that upset Rome. But Kashawn was the mastermind behind it, and it was also mainly Genevieve pushing Kashawn because Kashawn said her name. So it was less so Rome deciding on Kashawn, and it was more so like Genevieve was able to have a better chance pushing Kashawn's name than Teeny's name to Rome because he was more upset with Kashawn.
Yeah, and it was such a small error on Keshawn's part. Like I feel like he was playing a relatively strong game up until this point, and I feel like if all he had to really do was go up to Genevieve and say, "Hey, I used your name as a decoy name. I want you to let you. I just want to give you the heads up that I did that. Like I'm not coming after you. I'm not writing your name down." And doing so, maybe she would have swayed differently. We're not sure. She does seem like kind of a stubborn player.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if that really would have changed it, but I think that would have positioned him a little bit better at least, or at least talk to her about it beforehand. Like if you're gonna throw out a decoy vote or a name for a decoy, like talk to that person first, because like that's the type of stuff where word goes around fast on a 5-person tribe. So, I don't know.
Yeah, and I also think I feel like me as a player, if someone was using me as a decoy vote, if the reasoning behind it makes sense, then I'm okay with it. But if the reasoning behind it doesn't make sense, why are you throwing my name out?
Why? Yeah.
So,
That
like for Genevieve, Genevieve is I guess I mean Kashawn and Teeny are so close. And Teeny was apparent like seems close with Saul also. So it makes sense for if you're going to target one of the weaker girls, it would be Genevieve instead of Teeny. Um, and it was Rome and Kashawn talking, so the only two who could have been a decoy vote were um, Teeny and Genevieve. Um, so I feel like Genevieve shouldn't have been so annoyed by that fact. I do think it was a smarter move for her to keep Rome in the game, but I don't think she should have been upset with Kashawn for saying her name. Because also another reason is Genevieve was the fake plan for Asia when she went home. So to use the same fake plan is better than using some random other plan like Teeny, because then Soul would have never thought, oh, you guys are turning on Teeny? No way. Um, so
yeah, I don't even think it was a good move for her.
yeah. I don't
I'm
know.
like very 50-50. Like I
I,
get
I
both.
feel like still getting Soul out would have been the best move, and trying to just tell Kashawn like, hey, I'm not voting Rome, so we're not gonna have the numbers, so just vote with me, vote Soul. And then now you still have Kashawn trusting you. The only person that Kashawn doesn't trust now is Rome, and if you have to go in with 4 people where Kashawn and Rome don't really trust each other, that's better than the 4 that is left in the game right now. Where
Hmm.
the only person now Genevieve has is Rome.
And that's not a solid ally.
Yeah, and she could have had Teeny, Kashawn, and Rome if she just made the move to tell Kashawn, "Hey, I don't want to vote that way, so just vote with me," and then they could have gotten Soul out. So I
I'm
do
happy
think.
they didn't. He's my survivor crush this season.
Oh,
So,
oh yeah,
of course,
nice, nice.
love Saul.
Um,
I don't know. Yeah, I feel like this move was much better for TV. Like, don't get me wrong, but I feel like strategically speaking, like it wasn't as thought out, maybe, but I don't know. Maybe we'll see how it plays out for her, I guess. I'm not sure because now I'm not sure how her and Tina's relationship will stand either.
Whose relationship?
Genevieve and Tina's.
Yeah, yeah, that'll be interesting. I don't think it'll be fully there anymore. I think Teeny is gonna work with another tribe.
I
Um,
think so too. I could see that. I could see her working with Yellow.
Me too. Yeah, I can see that. Um, I wonder, Teeny and Sue just seem like people who would work together. I could just see it.
I see that. I see that.
I could see it. And then I also see Teeny and Andy, maybe.
Tinny
Uh,
and Gabe, I could see.
who?
Tinny and Gabe.
Yeah, I could see that too. Um, I don't think that it would be. I don't think Teeny would necessarily work with Caroline. Maybe, maybe not target Caroline, but maybe not like have Caroline as a tight ally. Uh, what's interesting is from Blue, if they go back to Tribal, based on what we've seen so far, it seems like it would be Kyle. I think Kyle's in for the long haul. I don't
I,
think they're going to go back to tribal, and if they do, with this whole swap thing, I don't think he's going to be the vote. I think he's a really likable guy. I think he's going to actually make good relationships with other people other than Blue. I just hope it's not a Mariah situation where he knows he's on the bottom, yet he still refuses to vote for anyone Blue. Um, I think that would be a really big mistake for him. I think he should flip sides. I think Kyle would work the best with Sam. So I think that could be an interesting alliance, replacing TK.
mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I definitely, I'm just really excited to see these relationships form between the tribes. The fact that it's pretty much it's 5-4-5 right now, and they're about to go into some sort of swap deal. Um, and or will are they starting the merge at 14?
I know, right? Who
That'd be
knows? Who do you
fun.
think is going to go home next episode if you had to predict?
Hmm. At this point, if we had to predict someone to go home, it would be based on edit, because we don't know what's going to happen with the swap. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think that from each tribe, the person who I think might be the most in jeopardy is either Caroline or Tiana. Or Gabe. I honestly I feel like Kyle and Sue are good to go, but I could see maybe Tiana, Gabe, or Caroline getting targeted just based on edit. I feel like Gabe is playing really well, but he's slightly getting a cocky edit without it being so overly cocky. I feel like it's just showing like too much confidence, maybe rather than just cocky. Uh,
Yeah.
So it could be maybe Gabe, Caroline not getting that much of an edit currently. So it could be her. Tiana also not getting much of an edit, but Tiana does seem more uh social. So I could see people liking her. Um, and so I'll go either Caroline or Gabe if there's going to be a blue going home. I think if on red, I think it would be Genevieve or Rome, but Rome just doesn't seem like he's going home next. So I'll go with Genevieve. And then from yellow, it's got to be Annika. Get her out of here. I
She's a
and
baddie. She's like, I like her.
I don't know. She annoys me. I'm Team Sam and Andy. Um,
Yeah, I think Annika's, I'm guessing, is who would go. If the tribes stay the same, I think she's in trouble.
oh yeah, for sure. If the tribes stay the same, I don't see how she can get out of this unless she finds an advantage. Uh,
Yeah,
but she can't. She can't go on another journey because she's already one-on-one, and the idol has already been found. It's in Sam's possession. So I see no way out for Annika except for this twist that's about to come. Um,
shot in the dark.
or yeah, she could also play. Oh no, she can't. She doesn't have her vote.
Oh, you're right. I forgot that those correlated to each other.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
That's
I do like
brutal.
Rachel though. I feel like Rachel, even though she's going to be, I'm expecting blindsided by a Annika vote coming up. Um, but I do think Rachel is someone who will be on the bottom very soon, but will be able to bounce back. I think she will still try to work with Sierra, um, still try to work with Sam. Uh, I don't know if the Andy thing is still a thing anymore. I don't think so. Um, and I think she'll be able to make good relationships with some other people on the other tribes. I could see her bonding well with Caroline, Rachel.
Yeah, actually, that's interesting. That'd be actually a fun little alliance.
Yeah. Yeah. So we definitely some fun alliances coming up that I'm hoping happen. So I mean, we already talked a lot about the strategy of this tribal, but let's just go through it quick. So Rome is feeding Sol a fake plan that Genevieve is going to be the decoy vote and tries to strong arm Sol, telling him, giving him an ultimatum, not a threat, an ultimatum,
Hmm.
according to Rome, and saying that if you give me your shot in the dark before tribal, then we'll vote for Genevieve. I'll steal her vote, and you could stay another day. But if you don't give me your shot in the dark, you're going to be voted out because I'm stealing your vote, and you can't play your shot in the dark anyway. So either way, you're not going to be able to play your shot in the dark. So you might as well give it to me so you have a chance of staying. Um, so in terms of like theoretically, yes, that makes sense. You're not gonna be able to play your shot in the dark anyway, so you might as well give it to Rome to have a possibility of staying. But also, after all that you've been through with Rome, there's no way you can trust that he's being honest and actually trying to take out Genevieve before you when you so obviously know, are like showing how much you hate Rome. So
Yeah.
at that point, you would just be helping Rome out by not making him use the advantage. Because, like, will he actually steal Genevieve's vote, or will he just save his steal a vote? So,
Yeah.
uh, I think logically, not thinking about who's betraying who and who's lying to who, logically, it makes sense why he would give the shot in the dark to Rome. But it's Rome,
It,
so you can't trust that.
I like was thinking while I was watching that episode, I was like, if someone tried to do that to me, I would have flipped. There would have been it would have turned into Bad Girls Club. I would have been like so enraged and angry. I'd be like, are you kidding me? Like, do you know who you're talking to? I don't know. That was just crazy to me that he said that. But I don't know. It was gold. It was television gold for
Yeah,
sure.
I do think it was a little crazy saying that, but I mean, at the same time, the plan is you have a four-person majority who is definitely going to vote him out. So he's going to be pre-jury at this point if you think what's going to happen is going to happen.
Mm,
You're just trying to take away that 1 in 6 shot of him being safe. You're trying to make it a 0 out of 6 chance he's going to be safe. So in Rome's situation with the relationship he already has with him, Soul, I don't think it's that crazy. I think for a Survivor player in general to say that it's ridiculous, but
yeah.
for Rome's situation, I think it makes sense to say this to him because you got nothing to lose. He already hates you. He's already about to get voted out 4-1 because you apparently have this majority four-person alliance. So you're either about to be blindsided, or it's going to work for you. So.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with him saying it, and I'm happy that we got this TV moment.
Yeah.
If I was Soul, I would definitely be like, "Are you kidding me? What the fuck?" But
Yeah. Right?
like, why would you talk to me like this? I'd be more like, "Why would you talk to me like this?" rather than like, "Oh wow, like you're pretty much like threatening me." Like, yeah, like the way he said it was threatening and like made him feel like that. But at the same time, if he didn't offer you this, you were gonna go home anyway. So at least he's
Yeah.
giving, even though he's lying to you, he's giving you the smallest inkling of a possibility of you staying, which if I was in Soul's position, I probably, I definitely wouldn't do it because at least I have a 1 in 6
Yeah.
going home. You have to think in that moment, what has a higher probability of happening? You landing your shot in the dark 1 in 6, or Rome actually trying to target Genevieve? If the probability is less than 1 out of 6 that Genevieve is going to go home, then you should keep the shot in the dark. If you think it's higher than 1 out of 6, you don't use it. And that's what we found out in Rap Podcast with John Lovett from the first episode, that the reason he didn't play his shot in the dark is because he thought there was a higher than 1 out of 6 chance that he would be on the right side of the vote. So that's why he didn't risk the shot in the dark. Um, which, yeah, that makes sense.
No, I actually like that logic. That's an interesting like way to look at it. This season is making me want to like apply and like I don't know.
You should do it.
No, God
I'm
no.
applying. Hopefully,
Oh
I
God.
get on.
I need to do another like live game, you know?
Hmm.
We'll see,
Yeah.
we'll
Oh,
see.
I love live games. I mean, I went absolutely crazy this year, and by the end of the year, I'll have done 10 live games. So,
You pulled a John V. My goodness, with all those live games.
yep, yep.
Gonna
Um,
take his spot.
100%. I gotta win the award for most LRGs in a year. That's my
Oh my
goal.
God. I've
Um,
done this year. Oh, one. I lied one.
you done one this year?
Yeah.
Okay, nice. What was it again?
Are you fucking kidding?
Oh, it's the one we did together. That was the only one you
Yeah.
did? Okay. I keep forgetting I keep forgetting that's a live game. Yeah.
That's me with a dead
Yeah,
straight.
The Caucus Challenge season 18, Caucus Challenge season 17 is out right now. Go watch it on Dre Media's page. Um
Yeah,
it's a
tune
great
in.
season. And see if I make it out of elimination, because right now I'm about to go into elimination episode 4.
So you have a really bad social game.
I do not. Everyone just wanted to turn on me
Guys,
because
don't take any strategy advice from him if he's going to elimination. Is this your second time?
second time in elimination. Yep.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah,
Thank
definitely
you guys
not a
ever.
good alliance game for me this time around. But hey, we won Big Brother Hogwarts. We did well in others.
We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see how well I do in this game. I might do well. I might not. Who knows? Um.
Yeah.
So yeah. They were talking about the vote with Rome, saying how even if Teeny loses the her vote, it's a 2-2 tie, and then on the revote, Rome can't vote anymore, and they vote out Rome. So they had that plan set in stone. I wonder, what I'm curious about is, was it so not obvious that Genevieve and Rome were close? Because like, why was it like such a lock for Keyshawn to think that Genevieve was going to vote Rome out?
Yeah, I was confused by that. I think he got a little too comfortable, I think. And he
Yeah,
put his trust in people too
I
early
think
on.
so too. Yeah, he felt very powerful. He felt like he was, um, like Rome said, not this episode, but last episode, he felt like the godson,
The godson, yeah.
the godson to Boston Rob, Godfather.
Yep.
Um, and so when Genevieve finds out that from Rome that Kashan was using her name as a decoy, decides to tell um, Rome that, Rome, you're going to be the vote, you're the plan, and Keyshawn was the mastermind. And he still wanted to do Saul, but somehow we end up going into tribal thinking it's going to be Saul. And then Genevieve was able to convince Rome to steal Keyshawn's vote and vote him out. Once his vote was stolen, I knew that Kashan was going home because Rome wanted to steal the person's vote who would have possibly been safe from a shot in the dark.
Great.
And also, Sol said that if he did not get his vote stolen, he would be using his shot in the dark. So maybe Rome was trying to flush that shot in the dark.
That's a possibility too.
Mhm. And what was I also thought was interesting, I guess makes sense because he was annoyed by getting strong-armed by Rome, but Saul says that he won't vote for Kishan. He still wants Rome out, told Genevieve, like, no, like, I don't want that plan. Like, let's still do the plan for Rome. But I don't think he was a part of the plan at all. I think once Kishan got his vote stolen by Rome, I think right then and there is when Saul decided I need to save myself. If he just got his vote stolen, he's probably the other name being written down. Let me write down Kashan's name, and that's what I think happened.
Yeah, and I think that thank God he did because even like if you look back to last tribal, if he was on red, Aisha did the same thing, and that's part of the reason why she went home. She wasn't willing to be flexible with plans. So I think that was a good move for Saul's part, just to be, even if he didn't want to, just to be a little bit more flexible. Because I think if you're not willing to like look at all your options and you're gun ho on one person, then other people are going to be like, okay, so can I actually work with this person? Will this person hear my ideas out? Like, will they actually be willing to make moves that will benefit my game as well as theirs? So I think that was a smarter move for him.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. So then we end up with Kashan going home. He was completely blindsided, especially by Genevieve, and says it when he gets voted out. I'm loving what the Red Tribe is giving after they fi or get blindsided. Like Asia saying something like, I trusted you guys. Now Kishan saying, I trusted you, Genevieve. Like we were supposed to be the core three. Um, I like doing that. And then on the way out, you're like, good luck. Like this was fun. Like you understand it's just a game, but in the moment you just got blindsided. You're like, are you kidding me? Like
Mhm.
why did you turn on me? So
Yeah.
I like we're getting that.
Yeah, I don't know why I just brain farted. I'm actually curious as to like why they didn't have that same lens towards Saul that they had towards Aisha about not being flexible.
Right. Yeah. Well, because it was Teeny and Kashan who were saying, oh, like Asia's not flexible,
For the other
but
side.
Genevieve was it doesn't feel like the same way. Um, Personally, with my allies, yeah, I could care less if you're flexible or not, as long as you are someone who wants to work with me. In Survivor, I guess I understand it's a little bit more important because um, you don't just need people who won't write your name down. You need numbers behind you so that you can get out the people you want. So I understand that, but in a small tribe where um, numbers mean everything, I think that it was even though that Asia would want to target Rome and Genevieve, even if she survived, so would Saul. Saul still wants to target Rome, and is pissed off at Rome. I think anyone who is not Rome and Genevieve would want to target Rome. So I still think it was a silly decision to take out Asia. I think they maybe only did it for tribe strength. I don't know. It's kind of confusing how they ended up on Asia, besides the fact that it was just she wasn't flexible. But um, I think she is someone who would have been flexible. It's just there was Rome on the tribe, and Rome's a special character. So I think they didn't really think that through enough.
Yeah, she was kind of screwed.
Yeah. All right, so that's the episode. So let's look into scenes from the next episode. We talked about how there's going to be a brand new Survivor twist with blue and yellow tribe mats. I'm very curious to see what that is, especially with 14 people left. Will there be a Mergatory at 13? Will there be a Mergatory at 14? Is it going to be a tribe swap? Is it going to be something we literally have never seen before? Because it is a brand new Survivor twist. I feel like it's going to be just a small difference from a previous twist, but I don't know. We'll have to see. It could be um, the the winning tribe makes the merge, and only the losing tribe goes to tribal. So it could be like a one round tribe swap type deal.
Hmm.
Um, So we'll have to see. But the main two things in the scenes from the next episode were Andy telling Sierra something that he said is secret and confidential, and then it shows Sam saying that this creates some fireworks in a confessional, and then shows Sam with a shocked face. I think that um, they just needed to put something in there that was prior to the twist. I think the twist is going to be most of the episode. They had to put something in. I think that Sam saying something about like creating fireworks. I think that confessional is literally about the twist.
Hmm.
That's like in the moment of the twist. So I don't think that has anything to do with the secret. And I think it's just Andy and Sierra. Like it's Andy trying to get this closer relationship with Sierra. They he must have given her some information that probably isn't that big of a deal, but just a small little bit to
Yeah.
give Sierra something and just say like this remains confidential because Sierra's probably upset that Andy said something to Sam about the breadwinners.
Yep.
And then Sue tells Gabe that Tiana threw him under the bus, and now Gabe is angry and says, I want to crush her survivor dream and wants to smile while it happens. Um, I think that this might be a misdirection. I think the her in this could possibly be not Tiana.
Oh,
Um, Maybe it's Caroline because Caroline is actually going along with what Tiana said about like maybe trying to target Gabe and maybe he feels more betrayed by Caroline. I'm not sure, but I do think that Blue is not uh, whatever this twist is. I don't know what it is, but let's say there's still three tribes. Um, I don't. I did not see Blue going to another tribal council until the merge, so I didn't. I don't think this is going to amount into anything. I think it just might cause a tiny bit of distrust going into the mergatory between Gabe and Tiana, or Gabe and whoever he was talking about if it wasn't Tiana.
hmm. Yeah,
Um,
I can see that. I think that there's definitely going to be a decent amount of cracks going into Mergatory. So I'm excited to see how that will play out. But only time will tell as to when we're merging, how we're merging, what this twist is. There's so many questions. We left off with a cliffhanger. So I'm excited to see what next episode has in store for us for sure.
yeah, for sure. Before we end the podcast, I want to have you answer one of the questions you asked me. Who do you think is going to be the next person voted out?
My heart is saying Annika, and it breaks my heart, but I feel like she's in the worst spot of out of everyone left in the game. I feel like, eh,
And
eh.
is that based on tribes or based on just in general?
I think both. Like her tribe, definitely. I think in general, she's up there for position pretty badly. She's positioned pretty badly in general. I think she needs a swap to be saved. But if there is a swap, then I honestly think it literally could be anybody because we don't know the dynamics of those new tribes. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But I don't know.
Yeah. It's definitely going to be very interesting. It's already been such an amazing pre-merge, and with this brand new twist Jeff is going to throw at us, I'm hoping it's not a stupid one like all of the loser votes that we've been getting, and
Hmm.
I hope it's one that really shakes up the game and puts on a great episode. So I'm really excited for episode 5. Brady, thank you so much for hopping on and recapping this episode with me. This was so much fun, and definitely would love to have you back again.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. As always, it is April last, and I can't wait to keep watching the rest of the season, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys for the episode 5 recap. Peace out.